Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 119, recording on Sunday, September 4th, 2022. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name is Andrew.
And we're going to address a big story that we skipped over last week, the PlayStation 5 price hike. And that'll lead us probably into some discussions about the co-op campaign getting axed, or local co-op campaign, let's be specific here, from Halo Infinite. And we'll get into some stuff we played. How are you guys doing?
Very good.
Excellent.
You're both coming back from the cottage.
Oh, yeah.
I was expecting, I planned my whole day out to play Immortality, assuming that the biggest fan of Sam Barlow games, Huck, would have played it ad nauseum, beaten it, gotten every achievement. Sean was talking about this game all week, saying like, I gotta play this. Look at the Metacritic. Holy crap, this is huge. Neither of them have played it.
It's true.
I mean, I didn't beat it, but I played it a bunch today, so I'll give my brief impressions of that. Maybe a little tease for what might be a more in-depth discussion and potential review in the future. But Sean and Huck just got back from the cottage. They're looking so tanned. If you're on youtube.com/GameJunk, you got to see these bronze gods. You got to see Huck's new basement. The shelves, the bins are gone. He's got his new HD camera. youtube.com/GameJunk is where it's at. If you like the content, if you listen, please like or subscribe. If you don't watch it, you don't care, don't like it. I'm not begging like Sean did when I wasn't here. I finally caught up on that episode. I'm not looking for fake likes or subscriptions. Let's keep it real. I have listened. I have one thing I'll mention from the episode I missed that I didn't listen to until this week. I didn't even know about the blocking rights story, about paying for games not to be on Game Pass, which is juicy. I can't believe I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, well, that's what we're here for, to shed light on these stories that no one talks about.
So while I don't like to comment on rumor or speculation, I appreciate that I got that little gossip juice from you guys when it had to happen. So whenever I can't be here, you guys can just get into those juicy details that I do not want to comment on.
The real story is, did Sean come up with that himself? Did he start that rumor? That's what you need to think about.
I didn't even consider that.
I did not, but I do often wonder, a lot of these things start in my mind because they pop up on my Twitter feed, and that algorithm is really playing me sometimes, Like lately I've been getting a lot of pro PlayStation anti-Xbox tweets. I don't know why. It's not like I'm searching for PlayStation stuff specifically, but
I don't like weird. You're talking Twitter?
Yeah.
I don't think that algorithm is that reflective of specific things. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's just general interests and trending. I don't think it's like, I'm getting targeted people who are anti-Xbox, pro PlayStation. I think that's probably just a general sentiment.
I don't know though. Like, I think it does know, obviously, like stuff that you stop on and actually read. If you click through and read a thread, it knows
Block
that.
Phil, you only like Sony posts.
Well, I'm not doing that, but I don't know. I must have read something, showed interest in something, and now I'm like in this weird like rabbit hole. So, but
you have to take in the internet completely incognito. It's the only way to
get that's true.
The pulse of everything, or your best chance to do that. All right, let's get into a real story. Real in the fact that, I mean, it's fact. It's law. It is done. There has been a price increase on PlayStation 5 consoles in certain regions, most notably the US and Canada.
Not the US.
Not the US.
And almost everywhere but the US.
Oh my God, I feel like a dumbass. All right, well, just other places. That's even more confusing to me. But Canada is one of them. And the price hike in Canada is $20, I think, for both versions. Although to be fair, I have yet to see anyone I know have one, or in the wild see a digital version of the PlayStation 5, which I want, but they don't seem to be anywhere. And people were fucking losing it over this news. And, you know, people think I'm a PlayStation apologist. That is not the case. I just call it like I see it. I give my feedback. Sometimes that aligns with PlayStation, probably the same way it does with 80% of gamers, but sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, it seems very, very odd to me. And it does feel like a cash grab and falling under the category, which I think a lot of these price hikes are, corporate greed, and just saying increasing prices because you know people will pay. There's a part of me that thinks that I would be okay with this if they had said, look, we're done with all of this bundle bullshit. You know what? We're going to raise the price, but you no longer have to buy a game or a controller or 2 games or these packages that cost $1,000 minimum just to get a PlayStation. We're getting rid of that, and we're just doing a $20 price hike. But that's not the case. I still think everyone, whether it's the retailers or Sony pushing for these bundles, those two things compounded is generally really gross to me. And I am surprised Xbox didn't swoop in and say, look, hey, we're lowering our price. I mean, the obvious thing here is as console life cycles continue, prices usually go down. So this is very strange. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, so the Meta Quest 2 had a price increase like a few weeks prior to this, and it was a big price increase, $100. And I don't know if that set the stage where like...
Yeah, where was the absolute outrage over that? It came and went. How is that a thing?
I think there was some outrage, but I think it's just... I just think VR is not as desirable, or like, I mean, the PS5 is the thing that gamers want and still can't get. So to have that, and then on top of that, now a price increase, that's gonna piss some people off. But yeah, I mean, like, it's the fact that it's not in the US is interesting to me. My initial thought is that the US is sort of the clearly one of the bigger markets, and also that's where a lot of the PR stuff is going to pick up on it. So maybe that's a little bit of like damage control, or not trying to piss off specifically people in the US. I mean, it still could happen. I read something that it was more because the US dollar is strong, and that's why they didn't have to increase it in the US. But the $20 increase...
I do not follow dollar trends, like US and Canadian currency, but from my brief exposure to it, it doesn't seem like it's changed all that much.
Well, I follow it probably quite a bit more than you guys do, and it is weird because, like, the Canadian dollar hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
Neither have a lot of the other currencies, but the euro is down quite a lot. So I think that is what's driving it. I don't really know why all the other regions are also now bundled in. Other than that, probably their main base is in the US, so they can just kind of like poach this bad news, you know, and take the money from everyone else.
Analysts are foreseeing a strengthening US dollar over the next little while. I don't know. It's very strange.
Yeah.
The actual amount too, like you mentioned, it was $20 here in Canada, the increase, which doesn't seem like that much compared to how much PS5's already cost, but I think the price is different in different regions. Like I read that some places it was like a 24% increase.
Wow.
Which is quite a bit, and I think on average it's about $50 US is the increase. So it is significant.
Pretty crazy.
Burn all these companies down.
The only solution, right, John?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's weird. It is very strange. And it really just makes me think, like, make less, charge more, and they can continue to, I don't know, raise hype and annoy. It's weird though. At some point, people are going to be pissed about not being able to get one, unless they're confident because of God of War that demand is going to continue to increase. Well, another interesting thing from the show you guys did, I did not know about those digital sales breakdowns either, which seems to be a big deal. I guess maybe the biggest driving factor is, unless I'm missing something, Nintendo and Xbox don't exactly have dazzling lineups this holiday season, which could be a big factor, especially since Xbox is not making Call of Duty exclusive, which could have possibly shifted that a bit. But just one more subtle prediction while we're talking about digital sales and popularity and fall releases. I don't know about you guys. You have kids. All the younger kids that I know, my friends' kids, they are obsessed with Splatoon 2 and getting hyped for Splatoon 3. It seemed to happen out of nowhere. That's all they talk about. They love Splatoon. They all want Splatoon 3. I think Splatoon 3 is going to be enormous, and it's going to be the next big thing with kids.
Yeah, I mean, my son plays Splatoon 2. He has a couple friends who are way more into it than he is. But yeah, I mean, Splatoon started off, the first one was just kind of this quirky, kind of a classic Nintendo, we'll just throw out this weird game that, nobody knew was coming. It's like an original idea. And then it grew into something that has
super
become
original. It's really cool. And then it was kind of hurt by the install base of the Wii U. Splatoon 2 is basically Splatoon 1 with a couple of extra things. And from what I can see, Splatoon 3 is very similar. Not a whole lot of changes. So
yeah.
I'm sure there'll be complaints about Splatoon not being a game as a service, which I kind of agree with at some level. But I think it's going to be big. And I still think Sony is going to absolutely dominate this year.
So, just going back to non-Splatoon talk, I looked up an article from The Guardian, and it was saying that the biggest price increase was actually in Japan, 21% increase, which is kind of crazy that they would impose that shock on Japan. But also, I'm looking at the Japan yen versus the US dollar, and it is going downtown. So it has dropped a lot, almost 20% since
that matches. And we had our version of that a while back, right? The 60 versus 80 price hike for games as a base level, where it was always the same, and we've kind of adjusted to that, but it's still just seems wrong. It seems counterintuitive. And maybe the Meta Quest is also really popular, I think, and them getting rid of Facebook accounts is going to play a bigger. I think it's going to bump sales a lot. I think a lot of people. I'm sure there's people. Just the ownership situation is something they don't want to be a part of, but fuck
Facebook.
The actual account thing is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I saw that just happen this week or last week, that you now have to sign up for a separate Meta account that's not connected to Facebook. So you have to do it, right? You can't.
Not connected.
Wow.
I think, you have to go through a process. So I think it gives you the option to do one or the other, but at some level you have to create this new account and potentially link it. I opted to just use a Meta account, and I will be deleting that Facebook account in the near future.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't done it yet, but
I mean, I'm sure they can do data tracking with the same thing, just because it's not Facebook. An account's an account at some level.
Yeah. So just a couple other thoughts on the price increase. I mean, I guess, one of the things you always think about is are these companies making money on the consoles, right? And I think it used to be that they were losing money on them, and just to get them in your homes, and then they would sell you software and subscription services and whatever else. Now, I think I read that Sony was actually making money on the disc version of the PS5, if I'm not mistaken.
That would be my guess based on which one you see more of.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, and we should say, I mean, both Microsoft and Nintendo have come out and said, we don't have plans for price increases right now.
We're just charging you 5 times the value of the guts of the console, in Nintendo's case.
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of crazy if Nintendo raised prices. But so, I mean, like Microsoft, as people obviously know, like it's a huge company. And I think for a long time, they've been losing money on their gaming side of things just because they want to be in your living room, basically. So I think they can afford it a little more than Sony can, potentially. But I mean, let's be honest, Sony can afford it too. And the fact that they're just, whatever the extra cost is because of inflation, they're pushing it over to customers instead is a little bit, it just doesn't sit right.
Yeah. Also, with the risk of going into like financial junk here, but there are also still major supply chain issues, and you still cannot really get a PlayStation 5 easily. So I think that combined with the inflation is kind of like a perfect business case for raising the case. You have, your
Raise for the case. Watch out.
Yeah, I'm just saying. If you have supply, you have demand. Your supply is down, your demand is up. You raise your prices. It's, economics 101.
What is this, the invisible hand? What are we talking about here? Get this crap out of here. I'm just kidding.
Talking about financial junk.
I'm just kidding. I've done very little research on this. My gut is it's mostly corporate greed driving all of this stuff. I personally question supply chain issues, but I know nothing about it. But I would not underestimate the greed factor here.
Are you saying that Nintendo, when the Wii came out, was all corporate greed and not supply chain induced?
Yes. I guess. I don't know. I know nothing for sure. That is all speculation. But, regardless, I know, Sean, did you get your shipping notification for your Steam Deck?
No, not yet. Which, let me throw it out to the listeners.
While we're on that, before I forget.
Okay.
Getting back to supply chain issues, because that's the only reason I'm interrupting you. From what I've seen, video card prices are going down again. I've seen sales on video cards. It's not like everything is continuing to go up. Things that were hard to get that probably use a lot of the same parts and raw materials are starting to trend down, which is another reason why these price hikes, I'm leaning more towards greed than supply chain.
Yeah. So just, as you mentioned, I got my email saying the Steam Deck reservation is ready, which I was surprised about because I was still in Q4, even though some people got the Q3 bump recently.
Mine got changed. So I looked at mine after yours. I got bumped up a quarter earlier. So mine's currently supposed to be by the end of September, and I pre-ordered end of June.
Right. And
where is the supply chain issue there?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good. I pre-ordered in January, I think. But so I got the reservation. I went through, did the purchase, and that was like Monday, I think. And I still haven't got a shipping notification. So I don't know how long. I mean, like I said, originally it said Q4. So I'm like, did I get this earlier than I should have? Am I waiting another month before it ships? Like, what's the deal? So I don't know. If people out there, let me know how long you waited in between the purchase and the actual shipping. I'm kind of curious, but looking forward to it.
And I guess I was going to say, this is all, I have to say, people predicted it. I'm not making it official yet, but I just keep nudging closer to Steam and PC all the time with all the stuff going on.
Here's an interesting tidbit, which I just read about because I was away. But I did notice that my NVIDIA stock was falling, and I was like, what's this about? And then I just read that the U.S. government blocked NVIDIA's ability to sell chips to Chinese AI companies, which apparently was, not a trivial amount. So that's interesting in the fact that now they were probably willing to pay, a premium for those chips, and now they cannot sell them to them. So those chips will now become freed up for other companies to buy, which could be good, could be bad. I don't know, depending on how you look at it. But
Yeah, these are complicated systems.
All I have to say is time to buy NVIDIA stock. Not stating that as a financial fact, just something I will personally be doing. That is not financial advice or whatever they say on all the financial shows.
So I guess my final question on the price increase, do you guys think this is going to hurt Sony in any way, like in terms of PR? Like, are we seeing major backlash on this, or was it kind of like a 1 or 2 day thing and now people are back to not caring?
I don't think so, but these small things are starting to add up for me personally. Like the store sucks now. The new PlayStation Plus service sucks. They're raising their prices. I already had one, so this doesn't affect me, but I'm sure it does affect some people. And I think the net result of all this is people not moving to, another factor is them starting to port games on PC. I think all of this is just, if there's any impact, pushing people to PC and continuing to push people to Nintendo. That's where the younger people go anyway. I'm not surprised that the digital sales were so low on Nintendo because most of my friends' kids don't even have accounts. I had to go set some up for some of them through parental accounts. It's a pain in the ass. So they just buy physical games. So all those numbers really do make sense.
Okay.
All right. We shutting this down?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
It was an exhaustive discussion. Nice work, gentlemen. Moving on. The other big news, the outrage of the week, was Halo Infinite releasing 343, I think, releasing a roadmap for Halo Infinite for the next season of online and features in the game, including Forge mode coming soon, and officially cutting the local co-op campaign for Halo. I have to be honest, this is not a needle mover for me in any way, shape, or form. As far as I know, it's still coming in an online version, although I don't think they said when, as far as I can tell. I mean, as far as I know, it's going to be a year, and they have not delivered online co-op campaign, and I don't think there's a way to replay chapters to get collectibles yet, which they promised when the game launched. What is going on with this game?
Well, so it says, Forge mode is launching November 8th, and that's the same day as the online co-op. Split screen co-op has been canceled.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's about a year after when Halo Infinite initially released. And I think,
multiplayer was what, November 18th or something like that initially, and then campaign was December 11th or 12th, I think.
Something like that, yeah.
But did they say anything about replaying missions? I'm assuming being able to do co-op campaign, they would need to support replaying missions at some level to do that. So,
yeah, and that's where we were talking about this a couple days ago. How hard is it to put in co-op to a Halo game in particular? And my first thought is, it doesn't seem that complicated. But then you think about the open world elements and stuff in Halo Infinite, and maybe it is. Maybe there's more to it than.
Okay. When we talked about this, my counter argument was two things. One, they knew that from the start when they made an open world co-op game. So designers would have to start thinking about those very early. And I don't think they'd announce it if they hadn't, even if it's a bad solution, if they hadn't come up with a solution. Two, Halo games have had co-op campaigns for the last 4 versions. So it's not like there was a lot of tech or requirements that needed to go into the engine to support multiplayer Halo, I would think, at a base level. So it seems like it's way too long for this to have happened. It doesn't seem like it would be that hard.
Yeah, I mean, the open world thing is the thing that's different from the previous Halo games. So I think that must be complicating it. But, I mean, to me, Forge mode is probably the bigger thing and the thing that probably more work went into. I don't know. Maybe they're questioning.
That can't be that hard. They've had Forge modes forever. How different can it be than previous Forge modes?
Hard to say until we see it. I mean, maybe there's a lot of UI improvements and changes. I'm not sure. But I guess the question is like the fact that they axed the split screen co-op and the fact that it took a long time to get the online co-op. Like, it seems like it wasn't a priority for them, but like, is that a good call? Do people care about these features? Like, like it obviously people say, oh yeah, I love playing Halo co-op, but at the end of the day, you can deliver it a year later. Does it make that big of a difference? I'm not sure. I think
it's not even how much do people, I mean, at some level too, it's, do people like playing it on local couch co-op versus who knows how hard that could be a technical thing, right? Like, rendering, like if it's 2 versus 4 player, all the things you have to account for. So that makes sense to me. That is a technical challenge, especially when it's a next gen version of a game and it's the first time playing that franchise on next gen. And
I would argue
they have
opposite.
to support it. Yeah, they have to support it on the old version, right? Like
I would say that's it. The supporting it on the old Xbox.
I mean, you'd have to. I mean, if you played co-op, open world, like I think the advantage of the older games is they were pretty linear, so you only had to load one section. So now you potentially have to load 2 completely different areas. And okay, that's okay, like if you load the base content, but then in order to then render both of those and run the AI in both of those, you now, and do all the pathfinding, you now will have to really be smart about how you update, how much navigation is being calculated, how much you actually render, what level of detail you render that stuff up, and like at what point does it get so degraded that like there's no point in even kind of playing it co-op anymore.
Yeah, the only like high level solution would be to potentially limit the distance between players, which with 2 to 4 players, what would that distance limit need to be for a technical feasibility? Sounds like it was pretty low. So I guess I'm not surprised.
Unless they really didn't want to do that. Like they wanted to let you have the open world if that was part of the selling feature, but I mean, if you can't do it, you're going to have to make a concession.
Yeah, it'll be interesting
somewhere.
even with the online version, like how far 2 people can go from each other without breaking the game. That has to be a factor, design-wise.
Yeah. And I guess the other thing I was just thinking in a more general sense is like, do people play couch co-op anymore? I mean, it's always been kind of a thing that's been fading in recent years. And you see some indie games come out that they only do local co-op, which is kind of interesting. But I don't know. Like, obviously, I'm not in the same place, life-wise that I was 20 years ago. Like, it's more convenient for me to play online with friends. But I'm thinking about younger people, maybe people in like college dorms or something. Like, are they still playing local co-op, or is it easier for them to just load up their own devices and do it online? I don't know.
And a lot of the local co-op games, indie games, tend to be single screen. It's not 4 view. Like it's actually easier for them to do that. Yeah. Like it's only one camera perspective a lot of the time. It's more work to add co-op, so that makes perfect sense just from a technical standpoint. Either way, I don't think it's a big deal at all.
I played 2 local co-op games just recently, but one was Shredder's Revenge, which is a single screen, and the other was Mario Kart, which is like 18 years old at this time. So, Nintendo makes an effort to make sure that works because that is their target audience, is like families and stuff, and that's who I was playing with. So, I don't know if that would be a big, dorm room hit, but it could be. So, I don't know. I would say that the majority of online people, like you were saying, would just play online in a dorm.
Yeah. I think the other interesting point with this is Halo Infinite, most people are playing it on Game Pass, right? Like, I guess you can buy Halo Infinite just on its own. I feel like those people are like, that's more a case where it's like, oh, we promised you this thing and we're not giving it to you. Then people get really angry, like, I paid for this game. But when it's on Game Pass, it feels different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, oh, okay, well, we're kind of getting it for free, or that's how we think we're getting it, so we can't complain too much. So I don't know if that's a factor as well, but
has anyone seen numbers? Is like Halo still being played a lot?
I can say this. I had played it. I'd gotten the weekly challenges every single week since its launch. I had not missed
Wow.
a reward or a weekly challenge since launch. And then I went away for a week. I missed one. And I was like, okay. I totally forgot about it. And I'm like, I missed that week and I was free. I'm like, I'm done. that carrot, as Huck likes to say, I missed it and I moved on, and I'm not playing Halo again until maybe the next season. So I personally really enjoy Halo Infinite multiplayer. I'm not sure what the desire for co-op stuff is, but I kind of was at some point waiting for the replaying missions to get all the collectibles, but at this point I doubt I'll go back to it. I think I've moved on.
Forge mode's not bringing you back?
No. 343.
Ball dropped.
It's over.
So I'm looking at Steam charts, and apparently in the last 30 days it's averaging about 3,500, 3,600 players a day, which doesn't seem that high to me. I mean, obviously most of the players would be on Xbox, I would think. But even then, if this game was super popular, I think there would still be a decent showing on Steam, and I don't feel like 3,000 a day is a decent showing for a game of this caliber.
Yeah, I don't know what numbers for popular online games are actually like. The big ones are proprietary, right? Like you can, like Fortnite is through Epic. I don't know if they publish those numbers.
So Destiny 2,
Battle.net, I think.
Destiny 2, which is basically everywhere, and I would think that the majority of Destiny 2 players would be on PlayStation, has 100,000 people right now on Steam.
Now, they had a free weekend this weekend as well.
Okay. GTA 5, no slouch, 67,000.
Okay.
And that game's been out for like, I don't know, 10 years now. Like, that's insane. What's another one? Here, let me just pick
I'm
one.
kind of
more
disappointed
out of the
because
ether.
I do like Halo Infinite, and I think it is one of the best, if not the best, shooter. I think it's the best balanced version, like the best balanced online shooter out there.
Could be a comparable one. Rainbow Six Siege, 30,000.
And you said,
Which is-
did you say 35,000 for Infinite or 3,500?
3,500.
Yikes.
Yeah, like 3,000. 3,600 people. Yeah. Warframe, 2,500. What are some other shooters on here?
It says, yeah, I think, looking at Steam charts again, the peak of Halo Infinite was 256,000. So they've definitely dropped off from that. I don't know how long they were holding that kind of number.
Oh, okay, here's something. Halo Master Chief Collection, 4,800. So, like, the original collection has more people playing it than Infinite, which seems... Oh, wait, okay, well, right now it says there's 5,000 playing Halo Infinite, but, I mean, pretty comparable. That you have more people wanting to play the original game rather than the brand new one.
I love Halo Infinite, but my general sentiment that I've gathered from the online masses is people are not happy with Halo Infinite or 343 continuing to make Halo. So I guess we'll see what happens there.
Ball dropped.
Okay, I think we're going to move on to what we played.
Sure.
Should I go first and talk briefly about Immortality, since it seems to be the big game of the week? A lot
I do
of
want to
people
hear
are talking
about it.
about it. So, huge Metacritic scores on this game. I've not played the previous Sam Barlow games, but I did try Her Story recently. It's intriguing. I don't know if I got it. I think the general idea with these games is pushing an element of building your own narrative through full motion video and self-exploration and defining your own goals. Traditionally, all three of those things do not appeal to me. I do not like that. I like when games define goals, tell me the rules, and push me along that path. Those are two huge diverging paths with gamers. Some people are one way, some are the other. I happen to go against that. However, if I had to reduce the appeal of this game, down to one idea, I would not be surprised. I haven't read a single review for this game. If there are many reviews of this game that say they got chills playing it. The element of self-discovery is chill-inducing, so it's very effective at making you feel like you found something. You've discovered something real. And I haven't played Her Story or Telling Lies, but I have a feeling this one does it better than both of those. It is very effective at, just letting you explore, and I mean, it's planned how you discover things. It's, I can see what's going on, and it makes sense to me why you discover things in certain videos. But I would think that feeling of chills, I can't remember a game that I've ever gotten a chill from playing. It's never happened. I've never really cried at a game. I've never gotten a chill. This game gave me a chill, for better or for worse. It's a little manipulative, but it's there. And that's a powerful feeling. And I don't even think a movie's given me a chill. Like a chill of discovery. That is quite an achievement. I don't know if it will sustain itself through the whole game, or if the payoff will continue to be that level. But that is an achievement in itself.
I would say Her Story did that, but maybe not to the degree you're describing. I mean, I haven't played Immortality yet, but Her Story definitely, you would you'd think you'd figure something out, and then you'd put in your search term, and then more information would come out. You'd be like, oh yeah, I did that. I can't believe that. That's so cool. And you really had that sort of progression. And I was just thinking as you were talking about it, I would love for someone to make a documentary or something about how you even go about making a game like this. Because I can't imagine where to start. You have so many webs, you have so many ideas, obviously, that are there. And obviously there is the kind of overarching storyline. But how you get it from full storyline and then to be able to chop it up in the proper way to lead the player in a direction that actually takes them towards the end, in a convincing fashion, is kind of a mystery to me. And I would love to.
I haven't played enough of Immortality yet, but what I am gathering at this point is you come up with a very small story to tell, and you hide it amongst other things. Then I would think, I'm just guessing, 70%, if not more, of this game is filler. It's part of a what's the word I'm looking for?
Red herring?
Or yeah, what do magicians use, or illusionists?
Sleight of hand.
Misdirection.
It's a version of misdirection or sleight of hand. And I don't think Her Story is like that at the same level. From what I've seen, it's more story-based. It's actually revealing things about the plot, where this one is pushing more to a meta territory, although Her Story, from what I've played, also has meta elements around the search engine and stuff like that. So I find these games really interesting. I do think I will finish Immortality, but I do struggle with the lack of goals. But it does give the player a great sense of self-discovery, one I've never really felt before. So I understand the hype. I am a little suspect as to whether it will sustain itself for 5 hours. I've played about 2.5. And it's interesting, though. And I guess the one inspiration, or two inspirations I haven't mentioned, it's definitely some kind of giallo movie. A lot of people are talking about an ode to cinema and all this stuff. I see that a bit, but I think one of the major influences is Twin Peaks in a big way.
Ooh, that has me even more interested then.
I don't know if anyone is saying that. I've yet to read a word of a review, but Twin Peaks seems like it would be the inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, it's that way you described it is interesting, because from some brief snippets of reviews and reactions I've seen, I've heard it described in kind of a similar way, that people have said that the game is very haunting and it sticks with you in a weird way because of that. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm very curious.
I mean, I've rewatched the is it? Oh no, it's the Pac-Man thing with Tim Rogers where he goes through like all 100 times reviews have said video games have come a long way since Pac-Man, and it's perfect. But I would like to wager 50% of the reviews say I got chills playing this game.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, if it seems like it might be an interesting one to try to do a group review of if we can pull it off. So
seems perfect. Length, our wheelhouses, a lot of commentary, critically praised.
The only thing is that the spoiler section could be tricky, and I don't know how much will fall into spoiler versus not spoiler, according to the fans.
Look, it's full spoilers. Our reviews are full spoiler. That's the way.
Okay. Oh well. All right then.
I don't think it can go another way. We can try, but this game is story based. Okay. The whole hook or idea, I think, is like resting upon the spoiler stuff in this game. So I hope that doesn't spoil anything for anyone, but the base mechanics are kind of awkward, and it's not until you get that first moment of chills or revelation that, and for me it took a while to get there. I'm like, why am I doing this? And then you finally get to that moment. It's like, okay, now I know why I'm doing this. Will that sustain itself? Sweet game though. Pretty sweet game.
Cool.
All right,
Sean, you want to go next?
Well, I mean, I don't know, Frank, do you want to talk about the Cowabunga collection at all?
I mean, we can. When Huck was saying he played local Shredder's Revenge in online, it made me think of online co-op games we've played. Both Ninja Turtles games have had huge issues with their online play. Like, they stink.
Well, yeah, I don't remember. So we did do some of the Cowabunga collection. We played through both the original arcade game and Turtles in Time, and which there will be videos of these for Film Junk Patreon subscribers at some point. But I don't remember Shredder's Revenge having this kind of issue online. It was really bad. Like, it was constantly hitching and stuttering and 1 to 2 second freezes before it picks up again. It was kind of frustrating.
Yes. And like dropping in and out, which happened. We had like a turtle that didn't get reassigned to someone and was just standing on the edge of the screen. Like it's kind of, we didn't get trophies. I didn't get trophies for beating these games.
A waste of time.
It was a literal waste of time.
Yeah. I mean, the Cowabunga collection seems to be getting pretty solid reviews just in terms of the package of all the stuff you get. And so, I get it. Like, probably, I don't even know how many people are trying the online gameplay for these, but yeah, that is an unfortunate drawback from our experience anyway.
I've been playing the original NES Turtles game, and it is not a good game.
Okay. Have you gotten to the underwater swimming yet?
Yeah. I think I got by that with Game Genie when I was younger. I remember, even at the time, I knew nothing of game design, but when you have to like cross a gap and you have to discover there's those ropes that let you get past the gap. Does anyone remember this? Like a grappling hook rope, and you have no way of passing it unless you find it. I remember being so like, how would I possibly know this playing this game? Like, everything just felt so arbitrary, poorly designed. And that's because it is arbitrary and poorly designed. It is not a good game, but nostalgic nonetheless. And $50, quite a bit. If you have no nostalgia for these games, do not buy them. But I said on the live stream, I remember the first time I saw the Ninja Turtles arcade game at the Fairview Mall, where Sean also saw it and played it. Maybe that's where Huck saw it and played it for the first time too.
No, I can't say I did. I saw it at the Skylon Tower.
Okay.
Oh.
And I saw this, and I thought it was the greatest thing ever. I was like, imagine if one day I could play this at home. And the closest we got was the arcade game for NES, which was great, but not even close. Like, even then, I'm like, it doesn't look like the arcade game. Like, this kind of stinks. And now we're at that point in our lives, 30 years later, and it definitely wasn't worth the wait. I could have lived without it. It might have been. It actually might have been better to live as a memory. Some of these games exist better in memory form than in $50 consumable form. But nonetheless, I will buy every one of them.
I was just thinking, can you imagine if arcades were still a thing and a game like Cuphead came out? Would that not just have kids firing quarters in that thing? Like, it is so appealing that you would just... I think it would be in the same vein as these like Ninja Turtles arcades
I think
back
Cuphead
in the day,
is
and like
a
the
good
X-Men
equivalent
games back in the day. Like, you would just be throwing money at these things.
I mean, the servers broke when they showed 10 seconds of it. Like, there is a visual appeal to Cuphead that I think would garner the attention you're talking about.
Oh yeah. Any more Cowabunga thoughts?
No, I mean, I think Turtles in Time is still a pretty amazing game on its own and holds up pretty well. I haven't tried a lot of the other ones, but I kind of agree with Frank. They're probably not the best.
Well,
I think
I played Hyperstone,
and I agree that the it made us appreciate Shredder's Revenge more.
Yeah,
like it's a pretty good game for today.
I must say I played Hyperstone Heist for the Sega Genesis recently, and it was pretty good. But Shredder's Revenge is so much better. Just like the little improvements, like with the dodging and all that stuff, just so much better. Okay, I can go. I beat Yakuza 0. It's done. It's in the books.
You did it.
It's amazing. It's up there. It gave me all the binary domain feels. I was loving every second of it. I love that Japanese, just like, they just go for it, man. Like, they just have all the weird characters, they have all the weird side quests, and they don't care. And they just put it in there. And I think I talked about it mostly on the last game, how there's just like stuff everywhere, so much stuff to do. The area, the like town feels so alive. There's so much variety in the gameplay. The core loop is pretty straightforward. You know, you fight, you just have little brawls. It's just like a fighting game, basically. But there's so much other little stuff to do to kind of like take your mind away from it if you get sick of doing the fighting stuff. But even the story is pretty well told, I thought, and it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of unique characters, and they do that thing where they keep like bringing the bad guys back, so you really know them by the end of the story. You know, you have to fight the same couple bad guys like 4 or 5 times throughout the whole course of the game. So by the end of the game, like, you really know these guys, and you feel like it's not just some one and done guy who is not very memorable. You really know these guys. So I really, really liked it. I'm definitely going to go on to play the other games. I don't know when I'll stall out. I haven't started Kiwami yet, but that is the next game in the series, and so I will be moving on to that one next. But highly recommend Yakuza 0. Great starting off point for anyone that has never touched a Yakuza game. And yeah, highly, highly recommend.
Very cool. Now you mentioned like that there's a lot of side quests and stuff. Did you do a lot of the side quest stuff, or did you kind of power through it?
I don't know. Like, there's so many. If I would like stumble across a side quest, I would do it, but I didn't go hunting them out. So I don't even know how many there are. I knew my completion percentage.
Yeah, what's your percentage?
Was low. It was like 18%.
What?
Yeah. Like, because there is all of the side quests, and then there's 2 main characters. So the one character runs like essentially like a real estate empire, and then the other character runs like a nightclub empire. And so there are these mini games about building up those empires that I barely scratched the surface of. So I don't know how much percentage those contribute to the final completion percentage. Then all the other side quests and all the weapons you can get. I didn't understand really like the weapon stuff they were doing that well. You could like send people out to like different areas of the globe to collect stuff for you to make these weapons, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know how you really equip these things. So it was really fun, but I like, there was a big checklist of stuff you could complete, but it was just so exhaustive. So I would say I did some of them. I would say I did a small number of them though, but I didn't like avoid them.
Okay.
But I think that also included like, so there's like batting cages, darts, pool, all these other little mini games. I'm sure it included all of that in the complete, like, you know, defeat all of the guys in the ladder of, you know, get all 100% perfect baseball score or whatever, you know. So I'm sure there was stuff like that that contributed to your completion percentage as well, which I would never do. So I thought I would be higher than 18% or whatever I was. It was something around 18% last I checked, but there's just so much stuff to do. It's insane. I can't believe they put this much stuff in this game.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah.
It is if you're going for a plat. If you're just looking to enjoy a game for the sake of gaming,
Who does that?
great.
Who's up? Me?
Yeah.
I think the only thing I've really played is Doom. I watched the Tim Rogers review of Doom, been playing through all 4 episodes of the original Doom, and then reading the book, Masters of Doom, and rewatching the Tim Rogers review. I've been fully immersed in Doom, and I really enjoyed going through the original game. I played it on PlayStation 4. I was going to do PC, but there are absolutely no Steam achievements for the PC one, which is like, I'm going to play it on console then. Like, at least give me some reason to play it on Steam. And it's odd. As I was looking into that, they like condensed and simplified all of the Doom listings on Steam. There used to be multiple like classic versions and all this stuff. They had a sale for that Bethesda celebration or something, and they changed the structure of Doom on Steam. But it is a great game. I really enjoyed going through it again. The speed is, as Tim Rogers says, the speed makes the game, and it is a great game. I'm happy that I revisited it at a point where I appreciate games more, not when I last played it, which I think was the PlayStation version. And I think I'm going to play Doom 2. We'll see if the book pushes me to play Doom 2.
It's interesting, just to jump off this, I played Wolfenstein 3D for a couple levels, and I actually really appreciated that game as well quite a bit. I think Doom is the far better game, but the only thing I didn't like about it, which I forgot about, is that every time you push on a wall, it makes like a sound. So that game, all you do is you want to search every wall to find the secrets. So it's just like constantly. It's so loud, and there's no setting to just turn off sound effects. So I'm just like constantly hearing that sound. But I want to hear the music, and I want to hear when the enemies hear me and stuff or see me. So it's like this double-edged sword, and like even if you run into a wall accidentally, it makes that sound.
Oh, okay. Because Doom, it's just when you hit a button in front of a wall.
Yeah. So it's like it's excessive. It's excessive in that game. I really wish there was a setting like turn off collision sound effect or whatever. But other than that, I really was liking it. I only played 3 or 4 of the missions, but and I wasn't really trying to find all the secrets or anything. I was just kind of going through to enjoy it. But some of the levels are really interesting layout wise, and I like the setting. I think it's kind of cool. So I was probably playing on I'm a baby mode or whatever it is, but or no wait, I was playing on the 1-up.
I'm halfway through Masters of Doom, and I guess one of my biggest takeaways is that I always thought of Romero as the designer and Carmack as the programmer, but I mean they're both programmers basically. They just kind of found different niches within that, and I always thought of it's weird that they are so similar, yet so different in interesting ways. So it is a very interesting pairing, a good book so far, and it also pushed me to rewatch The Color of Money, directed by Martin Scorsese, because I had no idea. The inspiration for the name of the game Doom comes from The Color of Money. It's when Vincent says what's in his pool cue case, he says Doom. And that's where they got the name. So, very underrated film, and tied to video games. pretty, and there's video game talk in that movie too. Vincent is more interested in Stalker, the game, than being good at 9-ball. It's just another game to him. Big gamer movie. Check it out.
Yeah, I had no idea. Okay, I'll just mention one other thing I've been playing. A little bit of a Metroidvania called Islets. Islets. The name comes from the fact that there's a world where a bunch of islands have become disconnected from each other, and you're kind of trying to find your way to each of them and reconnect them somehow. You play as like a mouse, I want to say, I think. But very beautiful, kind of hand-painted looking graphics. And it's just like, it's a solid Metroidvania. I mean, it doesn't stand out too much in terms of mechanics so far. It's like your standard double jump and stuff like that so far. Mainly the visuals, I'd say, are kind of the thing that puts it above and beyond. But there is one kind of interesting twist that I just recently came across. So there was one boss fight that was more of like a bullet hell thing, because there's, at some point you get an airship, and it's kind of like, it reminds me of like Wind Waker a bit, or I guess like Skyward Sword, that you're using this airship to find your way to the other islands. And when you're in that mode, I guess there are multiple boss fights like this where it's more of like a bullet hell fight. But I don't know if they're all like this, but the first one you can't actually shoot, so you're just dodging. And it was like, for me, it was like a pretty big jump in difficulty from what had come up to that point. So I was a little frustrated, but got past it. I'm kind of worried at future boss fights what they might bring, but it is kind of a cool thing to throw in there, and definitely can't think of too many other Metroidvanias that have bullet hell stuff in them. So,
I mean, I don't know much, but I think it's developed, like the developer, it says, is Kyle Thompson. So I think it's possibly developed by, quote, one person. I don't know how many contractors or other, but I just noticed that when you had talked about it off the show a while back.
Yeah,
it's a solo dev, Kyle Thompson.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if he has done anything else. So I see some other games grouped with it, but I think the publisher Armor Games did that Bear and Breakfast game this year, and some other stuff. I assume he was not involved in that. But. And
I think it just came out recently, right? Release date August 24th.
Yeah. But cool. Yeah, I think it's a fairly short game as well, which I'm okay with. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. So nice. If you're into the Metroid type stuff, check it out.
Cool. I've been playing a very controversial game, but one I must play before this year is out. That's my goal, and it's Horizon Forbidden West. And I know that this is Frank's baby, but he hates it. But I've been enjoying it so far. I haven't run into the issues Frank's been talking about, how it's got too much climbing and whatnot. Now, I didn't, platinum the original 25 times like Frank has, so all the like ins and outs are not ingrained in my head. But from what I played so far, it's fine. I'm really not very far though. I haven't started like crafting really any of the weapons. I just got the polecaster, whatever they call it, that lets you pull down the...
It's like the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, well, that's how far I am. I told you, I'm not very far.
Climbing yet.
I know, that's what I said. I'm not very far, but I've been playing it, and I'm enjoying it. And I'm going to keep...
That is a boastful recollection for probably 20 minutes of play. So when you get to the flooded basin and you see the basement of level design for modern level design, you come back to me.
I will come back to you. And the kids go back to school this week, so I hope to be able to sink some more time with them not bugging me all the time during the day.
Yikes. I wish I could go back and play the original. I was loving playing the original.
I'm starting to dig back into the original, so I don't want to make any solemn vows here, but I'm hoping to get through that in the next month or so. We will see.
What's the RE2 progress?
That is now on hold. But I want to get through Horizon because, as with Huck, I want to play Forbidden West before the end of the year as well. So just trying to line up my priorities here.
Did I talk about playing Cuphead again last week? Probably not, right?
You said you beat the DLC and...
Yeah, but then since that, I played basically through the game again at the cottage. When I was at the cottage, my friend's son, Gavin, loves Cuphead, and he wanted to get all of the achievements in the Switch version. So he's like, can we get all the achievements? And I was like, yeah, we'll do that. And he's 7 years old, and he basically did it by himself. He is the best gamer I've ever seen in my life. It was so much fun. He destroyed this game. He would beat certain bosses first try on expert at 7. It's ridiculous. I've never been so impressed in my life. It was so much fun going through that game again with him and seeing him do all this stuff, and he absolutely loves the game. So I still really like Cuphead, and playing with him was a ton of fun. And so I assume his dad is listening, so let him know, Brenner. It was an absolute blast playing Cuphead with Gav. I did make progress on Hades. I'm as far as I've ever been in Hades, still plugging away, and enjoying it more than I have previously. So slowly but surely chipping away at that list of shame. Hollow Knight, you're next.
Nice. I got one last one, Sean. I don't know if you have anything else.
Nope, go ahead.
Well, I got a beauty from my good friend Frank over there. I don't know how to really say it, but it's called...
It's a surprise. I dropped it on you in your Steam.
You did. Yeah, I don't even know how to say it. Nonozle? Nonozle? I don't know how you say this game. Nonozle. And it is a Picross game, and it is just straight up Picross. No fluff. No story BS, just straight Picross, lots of puzzles. And what I like about their puzzles is they are not mirror images on each side. So the puzzles are actually difficult and complicated. And they start you off nice and easy. They do 5x5 puzzles, I think, or maybe 10x10. But then they eventually go up to 15x15 and then 20x20. So they become pretty large and pretty in scale. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way done, I believe, already. So I don't know if they're going to get larger than 20x20. Going larger than 20x20 seems insane to try to pull off, but I wouldn't put it past them, and I'm loving it. And just little things I appreciate. So a few little differences from Murder by Numbers, or the other game. What was it called? Dating something, some sort of, I don't know, it's some sort of dating game that had Picross. But this game doesn't tell you anything, except when you basically complete a row, or it's very obvious that certain numbers are completed. And there's no X's, there's no, you made a wrong choice. You can put in whatever you want. And it's only when the puzzle is complete do you actually know if you got it right or not. Obviously, the numbers will gray out if you got it right, or you think you got it right. But if you got it wrong, it will, or if you put an extra block or something, it'll tell you this is wrong. It'll light up all the numbers again. But overall, little things as you're dragging your cursor along to fill in the blocks, it tells you a little number count in the corner, how many blocks you've done, so you don't have to meticulously count the blocks as you're kind of scrolling across the screen. There's a nice little animation every time you place a block or unplace a block. And also left click is place a block and right click is place an X, meaning there's nothing here. And if you drag that X across blocks you've already placed, it does not erase them. It only fills in the gaps. So just nice little, quality of life things that every Picross game should take into account.
So I'm glad you're enjoying it. It brings me a lot of joy to know that you didn't even know about this game, and I just
just sprung it on me.
Now I thought the title of the game, Nonozle, was going to be no nonsense. I thought that's what the Nonoz was about. This is no nonsense Picross, but it's not. Do you know what Nonozle is in reference to?
I have no clue.
Well, we keep saying they're Picross puzzles. That is not what these puzzles are called. They're from a class of puzzles called nonograms.
Interesting.
Either way,
that's the non-copyrighted term for it, I guess.
But I know there's lots of I looked at like the App Store and there's lots of things called Picross on the Nintendo store as well. I think Picross is Nintendo's branded version of that, but I'm not even sure about that. So
this is sort of like nonogram / puzzle mashed together.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But I thought it was going to be no nonsense because it seemed like it's what you've asked for forever. I want a no nonsense version of Picross.
Yeah. So it is my dream boat.
I just found a little definition. It says the nonograms, the picture can be random, but Picross is specifically revealing a hidden picture. That's the difference. Still don't know if Picross is Nintendo copyrighted or whatever, but
I don't think it is because there's a bunch of games that use Picross on Nintendo, and I have a feeling Nintendo would not be letting them on the store.
That's true.
All right. Anyone else have any other games?
Nope.
All right, let's shut it down. Thanks for listening. You can check us out on video on youtube.com/GameJunk. Next week, potentially fall preview for games or a Ubisoft stream might be happening we can talk about. Maybe combining the two ideas. We shall see. We did not talk about The Last of Us Part 1, which I did buy. I've yet to play. Either of you two buy it?
No.
Very
It is on hold at the old library.
Yeah, I saw it's about a 20-hour platinum, so I'm sure I'll get to it at some point. Sean is Film Junk on Twitter. Andrew is Equilibrium Sis and My Angry Commute. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.